My beloved child, come here. Sit beside me. Let your soul settle like the still surface of a lake on a windless evening. I wish to tell you a story, not with the words of humankind, but with the whispers of eternity. This is a story of glory and tragedy, of the brightest light and the deepest darkness. This is the story of Lucifer, as you have never heard it told. You must understand, before time began, before the first speck of dust in the universe was formed, there was only my glory. Heaven was a symphony of love, an ocean of pure light. Every angel was a note in that symphony, radiant and filled with reverence for me, their Creator, the Father who made all. But among all those brilliant creations, one star shone brighter than all the rest, a creation into whom I poured my finest artistry. His name was Lucifer, meaning light bearer. Child, you cannot imagine his beauty. But it was not just a beauty to be seen, it was a beauty to be experienced. His mind was a universe of thought, crafted with harmonies you have not yet heard. He understood the intricate dance of the nebulae I had not yet spun into existence. He knew the mathematical elegance of a snowflake I had not yet designed. He was the morning star. His was the first light, the first song that woke the others. When he sang, his voice was not merely sound. It was a force of creation itself, weaving patterns of light and joy that rippled through the heavens. The other angels, oh, how they loved him. They did not envy him, for envy had not yet been born. They learned from him. He was their elder brother, their standard of excellence. He would take the pure, infinite light of my presence and refract it, breaking it down into 1,000 new colors of wisdom so the other angels could understand my nature more deeply. His relationship with Michael was one of respect. Michael saw in him the perfection of my wisdom. His relationship with Gabriel was one of harmony. Gabriel saw in him the perfection of my glory. He was the pinnacle, the firstborn of my thought among the angels. And I loved him. I delighted in him. As a master artist delights in his defining work, I gave him everything. Power, beauty, intellect, and rank. He was the guardian cherub. He walked among the fiery stones of my very court, his wings brushing against the holiness of my immediate presence. He was not just near me, he was the vessel of my highest angelic design. He was, in all ways, perfect. And in that perfection, I gave him the greatest and most fragile of gifts, free will. My child, understand this. Love is not a pre-programmed response. Worship cannot be forced. It is only meaningful when it is a choice. A string puppet cannot love the hand that pulls its strings. I desired children, not automatons. I desired a love that was freely given, a devotion that was chosen. And so, I gave Lucifer and all angels, and later, you, the right to choose me, or to choose themselves. For uncounted millennia, all was perfect. His will was perfectly aligned with mine. His joy was my joy. His work was my work. He was the conductor, and I was the music. You were blameless in your ways, I told him in the days of his glory, from the day you were created, and he was, until wickedness was found in him. Not from the outside, my child. No demon tempted him, for there were no demons. No evil universe pressured him, for evil did not exist. The wickedness was born inside him, and so Lucifer, my masterpiece, became the source of all evil and suffering in the world. He became the prince of darkness, the corrupter of souls, the lord of destruction. He became Satan. Lucifer's fall left a scar in heaven. Though the light returned, it was never the same. Like a broken mirror, paradise would forever remember the betrayal. His story is a warning that even the brightest star, a being created in near perfection, can fall into darkness through the smallest, deadliest of choices. But how, my child, did we get here? How did this happen? What happened? Why did what was once an ocean of peace become the seed of evil? Picture, if you will, a perfect order, a divine dance. Heaven is a sacred structure where each angel has a mission and a purpose, all woven together in a tapestry of love. Closest to me are the seraphim, living flames, burning with pure love. They are so consumed by my holiness that they exist in a constant state of adoration, singing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory." Next are the cherubim, guardians of divine wisdom. They are not chubby infants, as your artists have imagined. They are magnificent, powerful beings who stand as sentinels of truth, the shield that repels any shadow of impurity. Lucifer himself was one of these, a guardian of the very throne. Then come the archangels, like Michael, the great warrior, the prince of my angelic armies, whose strength is his unwavering loyalty, and Gabriel, the messenger, the conduit of my most important announcements, whose strength is his fidelity to my word. And finally, the angels, countless as the stars, closest to humanity, the guardians of your souls, the whispers of comfort, the unseen hands that guide you from harm. In this perfect order, I wish to create something extraordinary. From my infinite love and wisdom, I created Lucifer, the morning star. He was not just beautiful, he was the leader, the beacon other angels followed. His charisma was magnetic. Even Michael, the great warrior, admired his wisdom. I did not create evil, my child. I created something perfect. I cannot create its opposite. But then, Lucifer, blinded by his own brilliance, let a tiny seed sprout in his heart, pride. How does such a seed begin in perfect soil? It began with a pause, a moment of self-contemplation. In the beginning, when the angels applauded his song, Lucifer would turn, his light blazing, and deflect that praise back to me, its source. His joy was in my joy. Then came a day when he paused. He held on to that praise for just a moment. He savored it. He tasted the feeling of being admired, not as a conduit of my glory, but as the source of it. It was a subtle shift, a change in gaze. He began to spend more time looking at himself in the reflection of heaven's light than looking at me, the light itself. He started to think in terms of I and my, instead of thee and thine. It was my wisdom, my beauty, my song he began to compare, not to connect. He looked at Michael's strength and thought, but I am wiser. He looked at Gabriel's honor and thought, but I am more beautiful. This was the birth of evil. This tiny internal pivot, this small act of claiming for himself what was only ever a gift. It was a shadow, a cooling. His light, which was meant to be a river, became a reservoir. And water that does not flow, my child, eventually stagnates. And as he became more full of himself, he became more empty of me. The desire for glory began to consume him like a hidden fire. Scripture recorded how his fall began. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. What was once his gift, the very thing I gave him to be a blessing, became his downfall when he tried to possess it. Pride consumed him. He wanted to ascend beyond his place. He no longer wanted to be the conductor of my song. He wanted to be the composer. He wanted to raise his throne above God's stars. In his heart he said to himself, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly. I will make myself like the Most High. And then heaven shook. The first tremor of discord in the perfect symphony. Rebellion erupted. Peace shattered like fragile glass. My own son, Jesus, bore witness in a chilling testimony. I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. In an instant, the internal choice became an external reality. Lucifer was perfater, cast into the abyss, banished from the light that had been his home. His glory faded, his beauty twisted into a grotesque mask of his former self. The morning star was cut down. My child, a fall is never a sudden event. It is the climax of 1,000 small choices, 1,000 moments of self-gazing. At first, it was just a fleeting spark of thought, a question Lucifer asked himself in the silence. What if my light could shine brighter? What if my glory didn't always need to serve another? They were small questions, almost invisible, but like seeds, they took root and grew. He began to imagine himself on the throne, being praised. Meanwhile, heaven remained in harmony. But something in Lucifer began to grow distant. The other angels noticed his change. He became introspective, enigmatic. Gabriel approached him. Lucifer, my brother, Gabriel said, what burden weighs on your heart? Your light grows restless. Your song has a new note, one I do not recognize. Lucifer looked at him and replied, There are things even we cannot understand, dear Gabriel. Perhaps you are content with your part, but I contemplate the whole. He made his pride sound like wisdom. Gabriel felt a chill, but Lucifer had turned away, avoiding any other word that might reveal the storm growing within him. Day by day, Lucifer began to neglect his duties. His voice, once the leader of the choir, grew silent. He still attended the gatherings of praise, but his heart was not in it. He gazed upward at my throne with a mixture of pride and resentment. My child, I gave each angel freedom. Heaven had clear rules, but no chains. And as Lucifer wrestled between his light and shadow, the angels around him began to sense something strange. Some, dazzled by his greatness, began to listen to him in a new way. Following him silently, he began to hold private meetings. He would speak of new freedoms and higher understanding. A cherubim asked him, "Lucifer, do you no longer find joy in singing?" Lucifer replied with a cold smile, "I have found other pursuits. Joy is for the simple. I seek destiny. Perhaps there is something beyond what we have known." And then the morning star made his decision. The spark within him became a flame. "I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." That night, his radiance changed. It was no longer the light of praise, but the blaze of ambition. Paradise, so perfect, so full of peace, felt the first tremor of rebellion. My child, do you think I did not know? Do you think I did not see his heart growing cold? I am God. I see every secret thought, and my heart ached. I had given him every perfection, and now I watched him use that perfection to destroy himself. I called him, alone, amid the sacred silence. We walked together, as we often had, among the fiery stones of my court. "Lucifer, my son," I said, "you are the seal of perfection, but I sense your thoughts straying from me. Your light feels heavy. It used to flow from you. Now it pools around you. What is this new thing you are holding?" Lucifer, with a serene glow that now seemed practice, looked at me and replied, "Father, did you not create me to understand and explore? I am only contemplating the very beauty you gave me. There is nothing I desire more than to comprehend the depth of your work. Do you think that is wrong? It was a half-truth, the most dangerous of all. My sadness was profound. I understood the fragility of the gift of freedom I had given. I knew that the seeds of pride could germinate even in the purest soil. Lucifer," I continued gently, "your desire to understand is noble, but your thoughts are becoming self-centered. You have been seduced by the very light I placed within you. You forget that this light is a reflection of my love, not your own source. A mirror that only looks at itself sees nothing but glass. You were made to reflect me." Lucifer lowered his gaze, but inside, fire of pride and incomprehension began to burn. "My Lord, I have wanted nothing that isn't yours. My light is the gift you gave me. How could I turn away from you if I was made by your own will?" He was now arguing with me, using my own gifts as his defense. I looked at him with eyes of infinite tenderness. I knew that deep down he was beginning to perceive his own beauty as an end in itself. He had not yet sinned in action, but his love was cooling. His heart was hardening. Full of mercy, I extended my hand toward him. "Son, remember where all light comes from. Remember the joy of our first song. Do not let your heart be shrouded in shadows. If you turn to me, your splendor will grow even greater in truth, for you will be filled with me again." But instead of feeling peace, Lucifer felt a sting to his pride. He felt corrected. He, the morning star, corrected. Did I not trust his ability to remain faithful? Why so many warnings? He withdrew with a bow, but it was a bow of formality, not love. Inside, an invisible distance was growing. I called him again sometime later. The shadow had grown. Other angels were beginning to notice. "Lucifer, I have seen the path you're taking, and it pains me to see you like this. Your light is turning to shadow. You are teaching other angels this new song, this song of self. There is still time, my son. Turn back. If you return, the love within you will bloom anew." But this time, Lucifer refused to listen. His hardened heart sought only self-satisfaction and personal glory. In his mind, he had already begun to justify his thoughts. He now saw me not as a father, but as a rival, a force that was holding him back. "I will not turn away from you," I said in a final warning. "But you are free to choose, and a choice is coming that will define eternity." My sorrow was immense. I knew I was about to lose my most beautiful creation. My mercy was infinite, but Lucifer's choice had to be respected. My child, even in his fall, I loved him. I knew a great revelation was coming, an event that would test every celestial being, especially Lucifer. And in my infinite wisdom, I delayed that moment. I wanted to give Lucifer time to prepare, to grow in humility, to seed this path. I spoke to him again, not in correction, but with a voice full of concern. "My son, a great revelation approaches, and when it comes, the wind will be strong. The tensions in your heart will be intense. You must prepare, root yourself in obedience, for the test will be great. Root yourself in me." Lucifer listened sincerely, or so it seemed. He knelt before me, his voice soft yet firm. "Father, whatever the test may be, I desire to obey your commands. I cannot promise I'll be perfectly faithful, but I swear my desire is to be loyal. My heart still burns with your love." Those words, perhaps he believed them, but they were not the full truth. Lucifer spoke from the depths of his heart, but his heart was now divided. One part truly loved me, but another part, darker and stronger, now loved himself more. And at the same time, in a dark corner of his mind, the seed of pride continued to grow. He felt that he, among all angels, was special, unique. "Am I not the one who shines most brightly?" He thought silently. "Whatever this test is, I will be the one to master it." And so, in my patience, I gave him yet another chance. I postponed the revelation again. "Lucifer," I said, "this test will not be easy. Even when it seems the wind carries you away, you must remember your origin. You must remember that all light comes from me." Lucifer's temptation was like the story of Adam and Eve in the garden. The serpent whispered, "You will be like God." And this was the same mistake Lucifer made. In that whisper, the desire to be something more, to not depend completely on me, was born. The morning star had turned his back on the light that gave him life, choosing to walk toward the shadow. My child, I had been patient as only I can be. The time had come. The waiting had to end. I had to consider all celestial beings, not just Lucifer. All of heaven felt the tension in the air. On that day, I gathered my heavenly hosts, all my angels, great and small, in an assembly that illuminated the firmament. A solemn silence fell. And then I spoke. "I will create a material universe, a place where life will flourish, a place that will reflect my love and glory in a new way." I unveiled the vision. I showed them the stars, the galaxies spinning in perfect order, and on one of these worlds, Earth, a jewel of blue and green. The angels watched, fascinated. They gasped in wonder. But then I continued, and my words became even more mysterious. I will not only create this universe. On that world, I will create beings in my image and likeness. They will be called humans. They will be of flesh and spirit, a blend of heaven and earth. The angels found this fascinating, a new song. Beings of both, spirit and dust. How could this be? Their joy grew, and more. The silence in heaven was overwhelming. In that same place, I, myself, will become flesh. The second person of the Trinity, my Son, will take human form. His name will be Jesus Christ. And in that humanity, you shall worship me. My child, do you understand the magnitude of this? The angels erupted in a mixture of awe and jubilation. I, the eternal, the unknowable, the almighty, was asking them to worship me in the form of a human, fragile, humble, and finite. They saw it for what it was, the ultimate act of love. They saw that humility was not weakness, but the greatest expression of my power. Michael's heart swelled with loyalty. Gabriel's light flared, knowing he would one day announce this very thing. They saw it as the ultimate expression of my nature. It was God's plan in its most unexpected form, a display of the deepest, most incomprehensible love. But that was not all. I also revealed that humanity, this creature I loved, would eventually become corrupted, and that I, through my Son, would sacrifice myself for them through the crucifixion. The angels fell silent in awe, that I would die for these beings of dust. Amid the millions of angels weeping and cheering in joyous adoration, one remained motionless. Lucifer. He did not move, speak, or cheer. He stood there with a distant expression. His gaze was like a dark well, and his face was a mask of pure, cold disgust. In that moment, everything inside Lucifer crumbled. The idea of bowing to a human form, the idea of worshiping me in the humility of mortal flesh, was not just incomprehensible. It was offensive. He thought, why? Why would perfection itself need to lower itself, to mix with dust, to be less than the angels? For what? He heard that humans, these beings, would corrupt themselves. They would rebel. And knowing this, I would still die for them. The vision of the cross was something terrible for Lucifer. He saw not just weakness, but shame. He saw the ultimate power, my power choosing to be broken, to be defeated by its own creation. To him, this was not love. It was madness. It was an abdication. It was an insult to his own concept of power, beauty, and wisdom. And from that storm, a burning question emerged: why not me? For centuries, he had been the most beautiful, the closest to the throne, the masterpiece. Why had he not been chosen for the hypostatic union? He felt his light, his splendor, his wisdom made him worthy of something greater. But instead of elevating him, I had decided to lower myself. Bitterness was born, coiling around his heart like a serpent, suffocating every last trace of love he had once held. The decisive moment arrived. God was there, surrounded by the multitude, and one by one, his brothers, the angels, knelt in adoration, accepting the revelation. But Lucifer remained standing. His body was rigid, his gaze was fixed on my throne, his heart filled with silent hatred. Slowly, he opened his lips, and in a tone devoid of emotion, uttered a simple word, one that resonated like thunder in heaven's silence. No. I looked at him with a mixture of sadness and love. But Lucifer felt nothing but disdain. He took a deep breath and repeated, this time with a force that shook all present, "No!" The angel shuddered. How? How could the purest, most beautiful angel defy the Creator himself? Lucifer turned his gaze to the multitude of angels and began to speak with a terrifying calm. Do you not realize this is a mistake? Can you not see that what God asks of us is absurd? His voice, charged with dark wisdom, filled the celestial space. He asks us to worship an inferior form, to bend our knees before mortal flesh. This isn't glory, this is humiliation. Word by word, laden with intelligence and persuasion, he sowed doubt into the angels' hearts. We, he continued with icy passion, who were made of pure light, should occupy a higher place, not lower ourselves. It is God who has failed, who has taken a wrong path. The angels listened, bewildered. His words seemed so logical, so full of reason, and in some, the seed of rebellion began to germinate. Lucifer, first among angels, had fallen. As the angels, filled with doubt, listened to Lucifer's words, a gentle poison spread. Is it fair that we must bow before a human form? Lucifer's words flowed with the charisma and authority he had always possessed. It was impossible not to listen. But suddenly, in the midst of his discourse, a voice rose with a force that shook the entire heavens, a cry overflowing with conviction and simplicity. Who is like God? The voice belonged to Michael, an archangel of lesser rank than Lucifer, but whose purity shone with incomparable strength. With just 4 words, Michael had answered all of Lucifer's arguments, pointing out the fundamental flaw in his logic. Who is like God? It was a cry of humility, a cry of absolute recognition that no one, not even the morning star, could rival the Creator. It was not an argument, it was a declaration. The angels trembled, Michael's words, so simple and direct, awakened them, reminding them of who they were, where they came from, and to whom they owed their existence. Lucifer, upon hearing that cry, turned to Michael. His gaze was filled with icy fury, but also surprise. No one, until then, had dared to challenge him so openly. Michael stepped toward him, small in comparison, but full of courage. "You are arrogant," Michael said, his words as thunderous as lightning. "Your light, Lucifer, has become a shadow trying to eclipse the Creator. Can you not see you've placed yourself above God?" Lucifer felt a deep pain in his core. His pride, his ambition had been exposed publicly, naked and humiliated. "You understand nothing," Lucifer retorted, trying to maintain his dignity. "Are you so blind? I, who was first in his glory, cannot kneel before something so inferior." Michael looked at him, serene yet unyielding. "You don't understand love, Lucifer. This isn't about humiliation, it's about love. God becomes flesh for us, and you reject him because you can't bear to be lesser. You've forgotten your place. You've forgotten that all you are is a reflection of his glory." Lucifer couldn't bear it. It was as if Michael was showing him his own image, and what he saw wasn't beautiful, but a shadow full of resentment. Without a word, he turned away. He retreated, his back straight, but inside, an uncontainable anger burned. Alone, Lucifer wept, not tears of sorrow, but tears of pure rage, of hatred born from his wounded pride. How dared Michael? And yet, deep within, a faint voice reminded him that Michael was right. And this truth tormented him the most. The rebellion began. Lucifer began to gather his army. He didn't use violence, my child. He used charm. He used logic. He used persuasion. He whispered to the other angels, "Don't you see that? God asked the impossible. He asked us to renounce who we are. We must worship a crucified God. We, glorious beings, must kneel before that broken, bloody body covered in wounds. God cannot ask us to do something that defies logic." More and more angels said, "Lucifer is right. My child, the most dangerous deception is not an outright lie, but a half-truth." Lucifer spoke of dignity, of self-respect, of freedom, of independence, of their rights. He promised them a heaven where they wouldn't have to bow to anyone, a place where their own talents would be recognized. And his army grew. They were not low-ranking angels. They were the most beautiful, the wisest, the strongest, those in whom I had invested great power. A third of all the heavenly hosts, my child. A third of the stars of heaven were dragged in his wake. And then the final battle erupted. But child, do not picture this as a battle of swords and spears. This was a spiritual conflict, a clash of realities. It was truth versus the lie. It was love versus pride. It was worship versus self-regard. Lucifer's weapon was seductive logic. He whispered, "Has God not limited you? Why must you serve? Is it not better to rule? He is holding you back. He is giving your inheritance to these humans." Michael's weapon was simple truth. He and the loyal angels didn't argue with the lies. They declared the truth. Their battle cry, "Who is like God?" was their shield. The loyal angels fought by, refusing the lies. They turned their gaze back to me. They doubled their songs of praise. That was their offensive. Every note of worship they sang was a blow against the rebellion, the fallen angels. Their light curdled. Their beauty became a mask. Their songs became discordant whispers of me, me, me. The separation was a spiritual one first. On one side stood Lucifer, his splendor now cloaked in shadow. Facing him was Michael, the humble archangel robed in my power. Heaven, once a place of peace, became a dazzling battlefield of light and shadow. Lucifer roared, "I was the first. I am the true light." But his words were empty, hollow, a dark echo of what he once had been. In the end, the force of good prevailed, not by violence, my child, but by its very nature. My light simply is, and Lucifer's darkness could not extinguish it. Truth, by its very existence, banishes the lie. The rebellion crumbled. My child, my heart broke as I had to do this, but justice must be served. I did not throw them out. they chose to leave. When Lucifer turned his back on me, the only source of life and light, he naturally fell. Like a stone that is released, he fell into the abyss of my absence, a place he had created in his own proud heart. Hell, my child, is not a place I created for punishment. It is the tragic consequence of free will choosing eternal separation from me. It is the sound of a door locked from the inside. Lucifer, the morning star, along with a third of the angels, was expelled from the light. They fell like banished meteors, cast into the lower world, a place of chaos and shadow. Lucifer, now transformed into Satan, felt the weight of the fall. The total separation from me, from light, from peace, from love. It was a wound deeper than any physical punishment. And in this abyss of despair, his pride and hatred morphed into a new mission. If he could not have my glory, he would destroy it wherever he found it. And his gaze turned toward my new creation, toward earth, toward you. He hates humanity. Why? Because when he looks at you, he sees me. You are made in my image. You are the ones who stole his place. You are the object of the love he rejected. His motivation was clear. If he and his fallen angels couldn't be in my presence, then humans shouldn't deserve it either. The battle that began in heaven now continues on earth in the hearts of human beings. His first major act was in the Garden of Eden, the place where I had set the perfect beginning for human history, where Adam and Eve walked with me in the cool of the day. He saw their innocence, he saw their love, and he despised it. Taking the form of a serpent, a symbol of cunning, he approached Eve. He didn't attack, he whispered. His technique, my child, is the same today. First, he planted doubt of my word. Did God really say? He made my one simple instruction sound unreasonable, like a restriction, not a protection. Second, he lied about my character. God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened. He painted me as a jealous tyrant, afraid of knowledge, afraid of your potential. He painted himself as the liberator, the nightmare after the nightmare. Finally, he lied about the consequences. He will not show you that. He promised ability without relationship. He promised glory without humility. He promised life while standing in death. And Adam and Eve, my first children, listened. They were tempted by the possibility of being more, of achieving divinity without obeying me. They chose to believe that lie instead of my love, and with them the world fell into the shadow of sin. Satan had achieved what he wanted, to separate creation from its creator. My child, the story didn't stop there. He has used the same tactics through all of time. He challenged me through my righteous servant, Job. He stood before me and said, "Does Job fear God for nothing? You have blessed him. But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." He tried to prove that your love is merely transactional, that your faith is superficial. He implies that no one, not even the most righteous, can remain faithful amid suffering. But Job, though filled with anguish and doubt, though he lost everything, proved that faith is not a response to blessings, but a deep-rooted loyalty. Satan failed. And then, my child, the climax of all time arrived. The moment all of heaven and hell had been waiting for, the moment of the incarnation he so despised. When my son arrived, after 40 days and nights of fasting in the desert, Satan came to tempt his own creator. He used the same three tactics. He offered temptations of power, turned these stones to bread, tempting Jesus to use his divine power for himself, to put his own needs before my plan. He offered temptations of glory, throw yourself down, tempting Jesus to test me, to force a spectacular rescue and win fame. And finally, he revealed his ultimate intention. He showed Jesus all the kingdoms of the world and said, "All this I will give you if you will bow down and worship me." He wanted worship. It was the one thing he had always craved. But my son, the new Adam, stood firm. He rejected each proposal, quoting scripture, reaffirming the truth. His response, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." It was the complete reversal of the no Lucifer had uttered in heaven. It was the victory of humble obedience. My child, The story is not over yet. The book of Revelation, the final book, foretells Satan's ultimate role. He is described as the great dragon, that ancient serpent, the deceiver of the whole world. He is the final enemy, determined to corrupt creation until his very last breath. In the last days, he intensifies his efforts. He is described as the accuser of our brothers and sisters, constantly trying to lead the faithful astray. He will face Michael and the angels one last time. He will be behind the beast and the false prophet, establishing a kingdom of chaos and idolatry, a twisted imitation of my kingdom. But child, do not be afraid. Though he may seem powerful, his time is limited. Revelation concludes with a vision of the final triumph of good. After the last battle, Satan is defeated. He is captured and hurled into the lake of burning sulfur. This place of eternal punishment renders him powerless to reach humanity or influence creation. This act of ultimate justice seals his inevitable fate. My child, Satan's defeat is the ultimate affirmation of my power. His fall is a symbol of a failed rebellion, a dimmed light that in its ambition and hatred could never overcome the love and goodness that give life to all. My beloved child, I do not tell you this long, sad story to make you fear Satan. I tell you this so you understand the great battle you are a part of. Lucifer's story is not just about him. It is about you. Every day, you face the same choice that Lucifer faced in that first subtle moment. The choice between pride and humility. The choice between self-service and serving me. The choice between believing his lies and trusting my love. Satan will whisper in your ear, just as he did to Eve, you deserve more. You can be your own God. You don't need God. Did God really say? It is the oldest lie. He uses the same tools. Doubt my goodness, question my word, exaggerate my rules, minimize the consequences, and always, always whisper that you should be at the center of your own universe. When you feel that pit in your stomach, that voice that says you are not enough, that is his echo. When you are tempted to compare, to envy, to grasp, that is his shadow. Pride is the seed of all sin. It begins by looking at yourself instead of looking to me. But my child, I have also given you the weapon, the same weapon that defeated Lucifer, humility. Like Michael's cry, who is like God? Live a life that acknowledges my greatness and your dependence on me. Like my son, Jesus, who humbled himself to become human, who was obedient even to death. Accept my will with trust. When you feel tempted by anger, jealousy, or pride, know that it is the echo of that old rebellion. Turn to me. You are not alone in this fight. I have not left you defenseless. My Son has conquered sin and death on the cross. His light has scattered the darkness. Lucifer's story is a tragedy, but it does not have to be your story. Unless you choose it. Choose me. Choose love. Choose humility. And know this, my beloved child. No matter how many times you fall, no matter how dark it seems, my love for you is unchanging. My arms are always open, waiting for you to come home. My light will always, always overcome the darkness. Rest in that love.